Our way of living is changing as we all know it, and here to help with some suggestions for seniors is JP Valulis, the owner of Right at Home, in-home care and assistance. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
So we want to dive right on into this here because as we do know, it's been a trying time for a lot of people, especially those seniors. What suggestions would you have for them as they are isolating themselves at home, making sure they're sheltering in place and being away from those family members and friends?
I think the first thing for seniors to make sure they're safe at home, number one, is to make sure they're taking their medications as prescribed. It's really critical. Secondly, keeping their environment clean and practicing good personal hygiene. Of course, washing the hands and bathing regularly. And the third thing is we have an expression we call movement is medicine. As these seniors shelter at home, they need to continue to move and be engaged and active throughout the day. It's really important.
And when we talk about that physical activity, keeping them healthy as they're isolating at home, what can they do at home to make sure they're focusing on their emotional and intellectual side as well?
Well, I think the first thing is to have a daily routine that works for them and stick with that routine. Routines become very, very important as you stay at home for long periods of time. I think the second thing is finding ways to uplift and engage and help others. There's wonderful ways to write letters, to make uplifting phone calls. There's all sorts of ways to sort of reach out and help others at this time. The third thing I think is important is to engage yourself a little bit. New skills, new activities, try something new and different. And the fourth thing is a little bit different, but it's expressing gratitude, where if we describe, if movement is medicine, then gratitude is this miracle drug that somehow as we express it, we just feel better and we do better during these times.
And I'm glad you mentioned trying something new and doing something different because we see a lot of their family members are now doing something different, having to become caregivers to those seniors. What suggestions would you have for family members as they're trying to make sure they care for their loved ones, especially having to be away from them and isolated during this time?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that the first thing is if you're becoming a caregiver for a loved one, to really understand their ability levels and accept those ability levels. Because those ability levels may have changed. Everyone has abilities, but they may have changed, particularly if you're dealing with someone with cognitive decline. Very important. And then once you understand those abilities, communicating in a way that is positive and effective, remaining calm, and just avoiding arguments. Again, particularly if someone's got Alzheimer's or dementia, it just doesn't work, if you will. I think the next thing after that is find ways to engage with them in a meaningful way and make some of the daily routines fun. So if you're just cooking dinner, maybe you lay out a wonderful place setting and you have a nice sort of formal dinner. That can be a lot of fun. And then finally, if you're a caregiver, you really need to find time to get help and you need time to recuperate and rejuvenate yourself. Get that break.
And I think that it's really important that you mentioned having fun during this time too, because a lot of people feel as if they can't have fun during this time, especially that they're being isolated from their family members and friends. This is a time that you still want to make sure you're not going crazy inside and you're doing something that's engaging, fun, and interesting to keep them going.
Absolutely.
Where can people find more information if they're interested in finding out more about this here?
The Right at Home website we have wonderful things in there about a movement program that's helpful for them. We have all sorts of volunteer activities they can do right from their home. This can be anywhere from helping out with the United Nations project to helping out with a crisis hotline. So there's all sorts of stuff at the Right at Home website that can be very helpful.
Absolutely great. Mr. JP, thanks so much for all of that information. So there you have it, some great suggestions for seniors to do right at home as they are isolating during these times of uncertainty.